This is your easy beginner's largemouth bass fishing ultimate guide. Today we're going to dive into the complete guide for catching more largemouth bass anywhere in the world. So stick around for some really great, invaluable tips and tricks and some cool hacks that are going to help you reel in a biggin. Largemouth bass are ambush predators, and they love to lurk out in heavy cover and structure in ambush mode and strike their unsuspecting prey when they're near. So understanding the bass's behavior and natural habitat will significantly increase your chances of fishing success. So beginners, patience, and precise targeted casting are keys to bass fishing. So we're going to cover those along with all the gear and equipment you're going to need to get started right now. Okay, so we just mentioned casting. Nothing is more critical than precisely aiming your baits and lures around structure like fallen trees, docks, timber, weed edges, and lily pads. Bass love these prime hiding spots because they provide cover, shade, cooler water, and ambush points for prey. So you just want to make sure you're casting close to this type of cover, and then you just let your lure or bait sink slowly to the bottom. This is where patience is really key. That's why they call bass fishing finesse fishing. Okay, now on to the good stuff. All the gear and equipment you're going to need to fill up your tackle box and rod rack to get out on the water and start bassing now. So what rod do you need as a beginner bass fisherman? We're going to show you a few of our favorite bait casting and spinning rods and reels here in the background. Usually you want to be using a medium-heavy graphite rod with a fast action tip, which is going to be perfect for this type of bass fishing. We usually use about a 7-foot rod paired with a pretty good bait caster or spinning reel. When it comes to fishing reels, you can choose either a spinning reel or a bait casting reel. We're going to break down the key features of each. The spinning reel, which you see here, is more user-friendly, a little bit easier to use, and really perfect for beginners. They just have an open face with a fixed spool, and they're ideal for lightweight lures and finesse techniques like bass fishing. And they offer excellent casting distance. They're accurate, they're very versatile, and they're really useful in any type of fishing condition. Now, bait casting reels, on the other hand, which you've been seeing here, provide superior control and power, which make them a favorite for experienced anglers and bass pros. That's because they feature rotating spools, and many of them have advanced braking systems and drag systems that are going to help minimize backlash, line tangles, and bird's nests that you typically get with bait casters. Bait casting reels are ideal for heavier lines and lures, and they offer you pinpoint casting accuracy and precision, and they have the muscle to handle wrestling big fish out of heavy cover. So whether you choose a spinning reel for its ease of use or a bait caster as you get more experienced in the hobby because of its precision and power, just understanding the key features will allow you to select the right tool based on what you'll be fishing for. Now you've got the right rod and reel, what are you going to do with it? All we use is 20-pound moss green color braided line for bass fishing, which you see here. It is super strong yet super sensitive, and you'll feel everything the fish is doing under the water. We also use blood red hooks, swivels, and bullet weights like you see here, because red is the color of blood, and it will trigger more predatory strikes every time. That's the color bass see best. Do it, folks. You will catch more fish, I guarantee it. Now let's focus on the mechanics of bass fishing and how to make sure we catch and land the fish every time. Fish on, fish on. We got a bite. Great. Remember to set the hook firmly but not too hard to avoid losing the fish. Timing and control of your rod and reel are essential when you feel that initial strike or bite. Sometimes bass will just suck up the lure or bait, and all you'll feel is a little pressure or weight, provided you're not snagged. So it's time to set the hook and land them. So just make sure that you're reeling in the line steadily, always keeping tension on the line. You don't want to let any slack ever. And if the bass decides to make a good run, let him tire himself out and then always reel in the slack. This way, you're going to ensure that you maintain control over the bass, thus reducing the risk of him ever being able to escape or make a death-defying leap in the air to spit the hook like they many times do. Now, make sure you've always got a good landing net with you, whether you're fishing from shore or on the boat, and boom, you'll go ahead and land that beautiful largemouth bass. And always handle them with care. Support them by the belly if you can. Avoid squeezing too tight, because your proper handling of the fish will ensure that it remains healthy if you do plan to release it. So one thing you may not know is the reason that fish, especially bass, have a lot of slime on them is that protects them against diseases and bacteria. So you want to make sure you're not rolling them around in the mud or the grass or the dirt. Handle them carefully, minimize the amount of time that it's out of water, and get them back into the water safely with the slime still on them. If you do plan to catch and release your largemouth bass, which we do, that's important for the conservation and reproduction of their species, whether it's in your own pond or an inland lake or wherever. Just make sure you put him back, let him live to fight another day. Just gently place him back into the water, get his bearings, and allow him to swim away on his own, and you'll catch him another day when he's even bigger. You'll have plenty of time for pictures before you do that. Okay, let's take a quick minute to recap what we've learned so far. You want to make sure that you're always using the right gear and equipment, your rod, your reel, your line, your tackle. And you're targeting structure and cover where the bass live every day. You're varying your retrieval speeds, and you're handling the bass that you do catch with care. Once you follow all these tips, you will have a more successful and enjoyable bass fishing trip every time. You'll catch and land more fish too. Just remember, every detail counts when you're aiming to catch that trophy bass. Okay, we've saved the best part for last, and that is all of the lures you're going to need to catch largemouth bass to stock up your tackle box. Of course, choosing the right lure is critical for attracting largemouth bass, and it always depends on lots of different factors like the water temperature, the water clarity, the kind of structure in the lake, etc. Environmental factors are important, and we're going to go through all that and also tell you what lures you're going to need. And I think every bass fisherman will tell you that their top go-to choices are plastic worms, crankbaits and jerkbaits, and spinnerbaits. They each do a little something different, but we're going to go through each of them to make sure you've got the right setup that's going to mimic the natural prey of largemouth bass to be the most effective. We call that matching the hatch, meaning using the lure color that's going to closely match the natural forage or bait fish of the actual predatory fish that they eat every day. Okay, first up is the plastic worm, probably the most versatile lure in any bass fisherman's tackle box. You can rig them up a number of different ways, like a Texas rig, a Carolina rig, a Ned rig, wacky style, or a drop shot rig. And you always want to make sure, again, that you're matching the hatch with the color that you use. They come in tons of colors, shapes, and sizes, and they're naturally scent infused. They wiggle just like the real thing in the water. And next is crankbaits and jerkbaits, which are awesome for covering lots of water quickly, whether you're trolling for bass out on the boat or just casting and retrieving. Now, the size of the lip on the lure is typically going to determine how far it's going to dive. There are shallow diving, medium diving, and deep diving cranks you can choose from. And of course, countless sizes and colors that you can pick from depending on that lake's conditions that we mentioned. Last up is the spinnerbait. The real draw here is that the spinning blades create flash and vibration that mimic closely the bait fish's movement. You can retrieve them at different speeds, and if you rig them weedless, you can get into the heaviest cover where the big boys are always living. Folks, thanks for watching. We really appreciate you and hope you got a bunch of different tips and tricks and techniques out of this video, and you'll come back and watch lots more exciting content that we have coming your way every single day. Okay, folks, thanks for watching. Please like this video, hit the subscribe button before you leave, and don't forget to enable your bell notifications so you never miss another great video coming your way.